So we're at Jaluma Falls, north of Townsville by about 70 k's. The falls are further upriver, and this is just a beautiful little picnic spot. Huge granite slide in front of us, and a fairly nice little creek full of turtles. And this is Jaluma Falls. It comes over once, and then there's a series of little falls in here. And it comes down a few hundred metres to another several large falls in there. And to some really nice deep looking rock pools. And it just keeps cascading over the rock down this very pretty valley, which is as steep as buggy. It goes all the way down to where we were before. So this is the crater. We're in the Atherton tablelands, and this thing, it's 50 odd metres down there. That green stuff is actually water. 58 metres down to there, and that water is 73 metres deep. There's this huge wall. This was a volcanic, sort of a volcanic gases eruption. It's hard to get it on video because the lens is not big enough, but man, oh man, oh man. That is spectacular. We're actually on our way back from back to Townsville, and we just thought, oh well, we'll just call in here. And look at that, the things you see. And this is not far from that volcano. This is the Pipipuni Falls. we're at Cape Pallarendra, and there is the ever-present magnetic island. It's a bit cloudy today, which makes it nice for walking, but it's about 95% humidity, so, and those of us who have been here a long time like we have now, we call that Maggie's. But this is just north of Townsville. There's some old searchlight bunkers here where they used during the war, and various other things, old jetties, and there's an old quarantine station where they used to put people who came off the ships who might have had smallpox or typhoid or some other thing. And just around that corner there's a little cove called Shelley's Beach. Yeah, so this is one of the light installations, spotlights. So they would not search the air, they weren't for aircraft, but they were for ships. So they would shine out here looking for Japanese ships that might come in, and then there's actually forts further up the hill here. There's some sort of dome up there, I'm not too sure what that is. That wouldn't have been here during the war, I don't think, but I presume if the spotlights found an enemy ship, the forts up there would try and blow it out of the water. Whether they actually ever did anything, I'm not too sure. So this is the gun position. I can tell that because the sign says gun position. So they covered these in camouflage nets, obviously, so that they couldn't be seen. And where the gun would be. There's a room at the back, I presume it's for ammo and shells. I think they'd have a fairly good chance if there was a ship out between Maggie's and here. I think they'd have a fairly good chance because that's a very narrow passage for a big ship, for a warship. And there's sandbars, there's channels, and there's reefs. There's a big reef system over next to Maggie's, straight over there. So there's not much room for manoeuvre. So if they started getting pinged at, they'd more or less have to go in a straight line and try to get out past the end of Maggie's. And there may well have been, I don't know, but I'm speculating that there may well have been guns on Maggie's as well. And then there's this little beastie down here. Not too sure what that is, but that's where my wife's disappeared to. Could well be another gun emplacement, I suppose, but I wouldn't have had that tree there then. We call that a hole in the ground. Oh, it is another gun emplacement. It's got the gun mounting there, and again it's exactly the same design. And oh look, she's a worry. What's in there?
Pardon?
What's in there?
There's a room at the back where you can see through to the gun,
Yeah.
and then there's like a little room, could be a command post or something, I'm not sure.
Probably where they stored the bomb, where they stored the shells and stuff.
Yeah, behind,
You think?
I think.
That's great. You've just done a piece to camera to go on YouTube, you beauty. So this would be the command post. I think they'd be sitting in here, calling the range and the elevation and directing the two gun posts below us. They'd have theodolites and various other implements for measuring distance and range and elevation and angles. They would have sat up there, drunk their tea and waited for something to happen. And over there you can see Townsville. Oh, believe it or not, I just ran up this hill. It's trouble when you lose a bit of weight, you start to get a bit keen. But I don't think I'll do that again. Yeah, so that's the city of Townsville. That's that Castle Hill that I filmed from the other week, which interestingly enough I found the locals call Tiny Mountain, because it's actually about 1.8 metres short of being deemed a mountain. So they call it Tiny Mountain. So Townsville was an army base during the war. There's always been an Australian army there, but there was Americans as well stationed in Townsville, and so it was bombed by the Japanese, and they dropped 3 bombs. 2 of them landed in the ocean and 1 landed on a playing field, so there wasn't too much damage done, but they were aiming for the port to destroy shipping, but they were unsuccessful, and they never actually made a landfall in Townsville. So along with Darwin and Broome, it was one of the places in Australia that was bombed in 1942, I think. This is Wollerman Falls. This is the highest one-drop falls in Australia. 268 metres according to the sign. And there's a 20 metre deep pool down there. So it's in this absolutely incredible canyon, I suppose you'd call it. Wow. It's a long way down, and then there's this beautiful, beautiful valley down there. You can even see the sun shining. The Wannamal Falls are just around the corner there, and we're a bit further down the gorge. Pick it out with the video button. It's a very, very steep hill there. Down there too. Some beautiful little rock pools. Some more waterfalls and cataracts. Apologies for the quality of that zoom. And then absolutely gorgeous canyon valley through here. Smoky haze over there in the distance. These are pictures from the Billabong Sanctuary, where we went mainly because we've never seen a cassowary. We couldn't see one in the wild, and they have them there. It was quite interesting. It was pretty expensive, I think, for what it was, but certainly international visitors can get up close to some of these animals that you wouldn't normally see, and the facility is fairly good. But as I say, I thought it was a little bit expensive for what it was. But it was a nice day out, and it was another part of Townsville that we enjoyed. So for the last week we've been looking after a house in Townsville, doing a house sit, which is really good. just makes a change from the van. But this is a really nice house. This is an old Queenslander. You can see here there's a big veranda. This is out the back. There's another one out the front. And there's a really nice tropical garden. And underneath there's some chooks. And you can see the swimming pool out there. And the veggie garden down there. You can see the veggie garden down there. And there's Miko. There's Miko. Miko the wonder dog. Don't leave the camera, you dopey dog. There you go, that's Miko. You can't see his head. There we go. That's a big buffy head. Miko's a very friendly dog. And he's wonderful. So this is the front veranda. Got some really nice cycads and bromeliads and stuff around the place. Got an avocado tree, a little mango, some citrus trees here. And there's our car waiting to go. This is our last day here. This is a great spot to sit and read or have dinner because it's a nice breeze comes through here. And it goes right around there. There's a barbecue there. I presume the veranda went all the way around and that's been enclosed to extend the kitchen. But yes, this is what they call a Queenslander. Right up on. It would have originally been on stilts, but they've enclosed the bottom part and put a bit of a granny flat, I suppose you'd call it, downstairs. And yeah, been a great stay. The Strand is a really nice part of Townsville along the waterfront. There's walking paths, there's statues, there's playgrounds, there's a water park at one end, there's restaurants and cafes and some beautiful sculptures as well along the way, so you can walk along there and really have a lovely day and go and have a coffee or a food. There's some really good restaurants along there looking out over the water. Ice cream shops, coffee shops, cafes, everything you'd like. It's actually a really world-class facility right in the heart of the town of Townsville. So we've come to our stay in Townsville. We stayed with our youngest son Nathan and his partner Emmy, and had an absolute ball. We went up to the Cape and we saw the mountains and the Daintree and Cooktown and everything that was to be seen around Townsville. It was a really good stop, but we're now moving on. We're heading into outback Queensland and down to Katoomba in New South Wales, so that'll be fun.